everybody, this video is going to be about dimensional analysis of derived, or sometimes called double units. So a single normal unit might be something like meter, yard, milligram, second. Those are single units. Something like miles per hour or grams per milliliter, or maybe you're at the store and it's dollars per pound for apples. Or a very commonly used one in chemistry is grams per mole. That's how we weigh a whole bunch of atoms at one time. These are examples of double or derived units. They're made by combining two, sometimes more, units to make a more complicated one, like speed or density, cost. This is called molar mass. When we have single units, we only need to convert one thing. But when we have double units, or these derived units, we need to convert two things. The first is going to be the unit on the top of the fraction, and the second is the unit on the bottom of the fraction. We'll use the same technique, but we'll have to kind of do it 2 times. So for this example, maybe we take 20 miles and we want to convert that into feet. But over here, this would be more like 20 miles per hour, and we want to convert it into feet per minute. So let's actually do those 2 examples. For this one, you would go 20 miles. 1 mile is 5,280 feet. Your miles would cancel and you'd be left with your feet. This one, a little more involved. 20 miles per hour. But this time, let's convert it into feet per minute. We still want to write a pathway. But this time, our pathway needs to have a top and a bottom. To convert the top unit, we'll go from miles directly to feet in 1 step. And on the bottom, we're going to have to go from hours to minutes. So we're going to start with our known value, just like always. But this time, because I have hours on the bottom, I need it to show up here as well. And since there's no number here, we know it's actually a 1. Remember in math class, we just commonly don't write the 1. You don't usually write 1x, you just write x. So we're going to put the 1 hour here. Next, what I want you to do is literally just cover that up with your finger, totally ignore it, pretend it's not there, and only focus on the top part of our pathway. Let's convert the top unit first. So I know that 1 mile is 5,280 feet. If I were to stop now, my miles would cancel. People say, oh look, I have feet. I'm all finished. But they forgot that you need to cancel out the bottom unit, convert that as well. So there's lots of ways people like to show that they're coming back to do the bottom unit. You could, instead of putting a solid line, you could put a dashed line, you could put a squiggle line. It doesn't really matter. You're just trying to show people that you're coming back to cancel this one here. So now, because hour is on the bottom, if I want this to go away, I'm going to need hour on top. So 1 hour is the same as 60 minutes. Hours here cancels way back over here to the hour. I'm left with minutes on the bottom, which is what I wanted. So 20 times 5,280 times 1 divided by 1 divided by 1 divided by 60. So 20 miles an hour is the same as 1,760 feet per minute. And remember that this little dashed line here just means I'm switching to convert the bottom unit. That's all that means. If you don't like using the dashed lines, you don't have to. You can put a solid line. That's totally fine. As the year goes on, you'll notice I start just using a solid line because people know what we're doing. In the beginning, I think it's helpful to use that dashed line. Let's do another one. Let's do 8,000 inches per second. And let's convert that into miles per hour. Now, I don't know how to go directly from inches to miles. I'm going to make a pathway. My pathway is going to have a few more steps than last time. I'm going to take baby steps like a frog hopping across a pond using the lily pads. First, I'm going to go inches to feet. Then I'm going to go feet to miles. On the bottom, I don't remember how many seconds are in an hour. I'm too lazy to memorize that. I'm just going to go seconds to minutes, and then I'll go minutes to hours. One thing that's kind of neat, the number of arrows you see is the number of conversion factors you'll have to use. Each arrow is representing a step that you perform using one of those conversions. So I know altogether I'll have 4 separate conversion factors for this problem. I start with my known value. This time my known value has seconds on the bottom. I'm going to put the 1 there just to make it a little more easy for me to remember that it's still a number. Now I'm going to say that there are 12 inches in 1 foot. I'm not even worrying about the seconds, just cover it up and do the top part. There's 5,280 feet in 1 mile. My feet cancels. The top is left with miles, which is what I want. And now it's time to worry about converting the bottom portion. I'm going to use a dashed line. It doesn't change any of my calculator use. It's still multiplying. But now I'm going to say that there's 60 seconds in 1 minute. My seconds on top cancels with the seconds on the bottom. They don't have to be next to each other. Remember, with multiplying, 2 times 3 is the same as 3 times 2. So even if they're far apart, as long as one's on top, one's on bottom, you're fine. Now I'm here and I have to do one last step. Minutes is on the bottom, so I'm going to say 60 minutes is 1 hour. 1 minute on bottom, minute on top. Now I have hours on the bottom. Remember, in your calculator, everything on top inside a set of parentheses divided by everything on the bottom. So we end up with 454.5 miles per hour. All right, last one for this video. we'll do 17 gallons per week. And we want to know how many cups per minute that is. So what I'd like you to do now is you try to write out your pathway. You can pause the video, try to write out your pathway. When you unpause it, the correct answer will be on the screen. And remember, if you're using numbers and units that are not as familiar to you, you can always use your little chart of conversion factors. It may not be page 28 for your year. This is just one from a couple years ago. So use the class website, see where this conversion table is, and you can use these conversion factors for things you may not be as familiar with. So go ahead and pause the video, and I'll put the correct pathway on the screen for when you unpause the video. Alright, so you can see the pathway I came up with for the top was to go from gallons to quarts and quarts to cups. There's lots of different pathways you can take. Remember, it's okay if we have different pathways. We may round our answer differently because we have different conversion factors, but the general answer should end up the same. On the bottom, I'm going to go weeks to days, days to hours, hours to minutes. It's totally fine if you have a different number of conversions on the top compared to the bottom. It does not have to match. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Remember, finding the pathway is the hard part, and unfortunately that's the part I do not have a trick for. Figuring out to go from gallons to quarts, that's just a puzzle. That's me looking at my conversion factors and trying to see which ones I can connect the dots to. So it just takes practice. So now I'm going to start with my known value of 17 gallons per 1 week. And I'm going to try to perform all these conversions using all these conversion factors and find out what my final answer is. Pause the video, give it a try. When you unpause, the correct answer will be on the screen. All right, you can see here that I went from gallons to quarts, quarts to cups. Now I have cups on the top. Now it's time to come back and convert the bottom. Because weeks on the bottom, I need week on the top so it cancels. Week to days, days to hours, hours to minutes. Remember, be careful with your calculator. I'll just show you what this would look like in my calculator. You may have a different one, but this is how I like to punch it in my calculator. Everything on the top goes in one set of parentheses. I know in real life we would not be multiplying by 1 over and over, but technically that's what we're doing. I close my parentheses. I hit divide in my calculator, and then everything on the bottom gets multiplied together. And no, you wouldn't technically have to hit the ones, but that is what we're doing. Close my parentheses, and then I would hit enter. So just be very careful with your calculator work. That is one of the skills that you need to be learning. We're trying to teach you how to use that calculator. So trying to say that you got it all set up, you just got the calculator part wrong, means that you did get part of the question wrong. So we do want to make sure that we are using our calculator correctly. Alright, that's it for this video. I hope that was helpful, everybody. Bye.